My name is Chris Long. I make pottery for a living. I play drums in a band called Hikes. I want to see as much of the world as I can through like the talents that I have, art and music. It's like I'm not going to stop doing these things, and I want to use these to see as much of the world as possible, experience as much of the world as possible, which I feel like that's the most important thing I could do while I'm alive. Music has been the best way for me to sort of achieve that goal.
Check.
Since we got Hikes started, we sort of adopted that mindset together of we're going to use this to see as much of the world as possible and meet as many people as possible, and let's allow this to make our lives better and hopefully use it to make other lives better. Like, I really like the presentness that I feel when we're touring, when we're on the road, and every day is a new city, new people. It's like a very it's just a really interesting way to live that I feel like makes me feel a certain type of alive that I'm looking for when I'm thinking about how I want to live, how I want to feel on a day-to-day basis. There's that, and there's the connection with people. I've met some of the most incredible people, and just I don't know, when you play a show and you play the type of music that we play, it makes people vulnerable and willing to share and willing to be open with you, like complete strangers. And playing that music, obviously you have to be vulnerable, and that opens you and the audience up. We get that from people where they're like, this song or this song legitimately changed my life in an enormous way. Like, I moved across the country because of it. Like, you allowed me to like create a change in my life that otherwise I may have not made. As a person who makes art, makes music, there's never been any more rewarding of an affirmation for me of like, you're doing the right thing. Like, you're spending your time well. Like, you're doing you're doing as much as you can with your talents to like positively impact the world. Like, that's a pretty important thing for me, to like live as some sort of force of positivity in the world, and I feel like that's achieved like over and over again with making music. Taking a band seriously is a ridiculous thing to do. There's so many constant challenges you have to be able to overcome. Like, it never stops. There's always new challenges. Money being one of the biggest ones. Talking about touring, just the cost of getting you from city to city, like a 15-passenger van, getting all the equipment, all the people from one spot to the next. Sometimes it's an hour drive, sometimes it's like an 8-hour drive. You have to live very, very close to the people you're in a band with. You're constantly within like 6 feet of every single one of them, pretty much, like sleeping and driving and when you're on stage. And so it's crazy to spend that much time that like physically close with someone or a group of people, and as well as that, you're emotionally close. I know that I'll never quit making music. I never see a time in my life where I won't play music, because to me, like, music is a form of, I don't want to say it's a form of therapy, but it's a sort of self-medicating kind of thing that connects me with myself, that I discovered it at an early age and discovered a lot of myself and my emotional capabilities, and just like I learned how to feel in a certain way with music. And I don't think that it would ever, that part of me would ever stop. talking more about the balance of these two art forms in my life. So when I'm making pottery, typically by myself, and it's just me and what I'm working on, and there's no other opinions going on. It's just me and this clay. It's quiet, it's personal, all that. Making music, on the other hand, is the absolute opposite of that. It's very loud. There's a bunch of minds working together. There's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of it's cooperation. It's collaboration. Constant. It's a constant conversation. And then every performance, that's the expression. That's the piece of pottery on that side of the spectrum. But that is intangible. It happens once and it never happens again. And it happens only while it's happening. A piece of pottery, on the other hand, this will be around for 10,000 years. There's one of it, it's unique, it happened once, but this will stay like this way longer than I can even imagine. Anyways, the process of turning mud into stone. There's some beautiful symbolism in that you can search for if you want to. But the fun part about that is the artistry of it, the stylistic options that you have. And then after it's done, then I take that out into the world and tell other people about it. I'll be doing a farmer's market or an art show or whatever, and all of a sudden it's not just me and this work anymore. It's on a platform for other people to look at and ask questions. That's, I feel like, when the process comes full circle, because it starts as this like ball of clay that could be anything, and then I wind up with friends and I get to pay my rent. And how I can go on tour with my band is from these pieces of clay and what I do with them and how I take them into the world and how that comes back. And it's a cool full circle. This is a really important art form to me because of kind of its casual relationship. It's really cool to make something that someone holds, touches, it serves a role in their life. This came from my hands, and it's somebody's daily mug. Like there's something really cool about that. This is the first piece of pottery that I can remember making. This was an important one for me because I was just like thinking about someone's hand and how it would hold the piece, and making this like spot for the thumb, and your finger comes around here, and it was really cool for me to just like think about shaping this thing to form someone's hand and how comfortable it felt to hold it. And I feel like that this was an important point for me because I had that realization and just really enjoyed making something that would feel like that. Yes, I made this in high school, but you can still see that type of thing in my work now, because I'm like making these indentations like that this is a mug. You're gonna hold it by the handle, but it's still it's still got that same situation going on. Oh, that's kind of cool. About around the time when I was deciding that this was going to be what I did for a living, I was somewhat conflicted about selling my art. It was this thing that I was making for myself. I was worried that I was going to see, how much money I make from each piece, and that was going to affect the creative process. I was just like, 20 years old, like, oh, money's such a problem, money's the root of all evil. I don't want it to like, man, I don't want it to like corrupt my art, bro. And so it was good to get past that and be like, okay, I have to make a living. I can take this seriously and make this work. As this craft grew and took up more space in my life, became a bigger part of my life, I realized that there is a really cool duality of this is a functional art form for people in the world. This is something that people use, it's functional. And for me, it was how I could get through life. I used my talent that I learned, a skill that I spent many, many years developing to allow me to exist in the world. I started seeing it having a functional role in my life, and honestly, having the band take up that much space in my life as well allowed that balance. Making pottery is the functional art form that provides for me, so I can go participate in this other art form.